until Tony gets here. I'm not sure where he is.
I was going to say, I thought it was probably because Don mentioned.
We just stand.
Yep.
Stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call.
Karen.
Yes, here.
Clark.
Here.
Hudson.
Here.
Ronco. Whitmer. Here.
I have a motion to accept the agenda for tonight.
I'll second the motion.
Roll call.
Clark.
Yes.
Karen.
Yes.
Hudson.
Yes.
Whitmer. Yes.
Motion passes. Superintendent's report.
Okay. Testing is always a big topic, certainly this time of year. Mr. Buzzard is our testing coordinator, and I've asked him to kind of give you a quick update because, believe me, he, the other principals, Jason Martin, Marcy Vogelberger, and our staff have spent, our guidance counselors are involved in the process, school counselors, and we have spent a great deal of time in preparation. And I just want to kind of give you some information through Mr. Buzzard about testing coming up.
I did put in the board chair the report that I'm reading. Just kind of update you. Prior to this year, you know most of this, but students took the OA test in grades 3 through 8 and the OGT in 10th grade. The majority of the report card we get from the district is based on our scores and the student success that we have in testing. Students, we wanted them to do well in tests, but they were really held accountable in third grade, with third grade guarantee, which is fairly recent, and our 10th graders who needed to pass to get a diploma. And our teachers have done in the past a really good job of teaching to the state standards, and I believe that we did a great job addressing all the students' learning styles. I think the teachers also assess the students in methods similar to what they saw in the state test. And a culmination of all that, basically Columbiana schools, whenever our students took a test, our passing rates were over 90%. The new challenge that we're entering into as early as next Tuesday. Next Tuesday we enter into a 20-day window with our new testing procedures. And we've now transitioned into the Common Core. The Common Core is a change for us. What teachers at a certain grade level are teaching is now different. I believe that we've done a great job. Our teachers have worked very hard at transitioning to the new material that they're going to be teaching. And I have to say, give some check mark there that we are where we need to be there. In addition, presenting the new material, the students are going to be required to have a deeper understanding of the material. The new PARC and the AIR test will present students with questions that require deeper understanding of the required material and the ability to communicate their understanding through their written response. What does that mean? Less multiple choice questions. Questions now that require 2 or 3 page answer as opposed to a 2 or 3 paragraph response. And as a result, higher level thinking, a greater understanding of whatever the material is that they're covering. A major change is also found in the amount of time required for testing. We have a round of performance-based tests that we're entering into here in the February-March time frame, and usually when we have a round of tests, we're finished. But we also are going to have end-of-year tests, which will be given in May. And besides having more tests to give and more results, we're giving up more instructional time. Whereas middle school would have 1 week of testing throughout the whole year. Now our testing is probably going to consume 4 weeks between the 2 tests, and that's the same thing happening in the other 2 buildings. In addition, an additional challenge to our testing method is our testing method, and we're in a transition year. I got some input. Jason Martin has worked with me hand in hand Excuse me. And this year we're going to do a hybrid testing, basically. We're going to do math, language arts on the computer, and we're still going to do social studies and science with paper pencil. Next year, as of right now, all tests will be computerized. The questions and challenges that we're going to start facing next Tuesday, there's been a lot of unsurety. We started working on this earlier in the year, and things have constantly changed. The states changed rules, they've changed methods, they've changed the way that we're doing things. I think a lot of that is feedback and pressure they've received, and so we've tried to adapt to be ready. But I broke it down into 4 major challenges. Our students are going to what's each test going to look like? It was well known in the OAAs in the elementary that the 5th grade test was so much more difficult than the 6th grade test. We haven't seen the test yet, so we don't know if there's going to be a test that really is a lot stronger or a lot tougher than the other tests. My people in my building are into the test. They already, through research and through out there gathering all the information, They already said in language arts there's one test that's going to be harder than next year's test. We'll actually have to wait and see that. But my people usually are right on those type of things. An additional challenge is if the students have a mastery of the material, will they be able to present it, especially with the computer testing. There's going to be skills required for them to present the material on the computer, which we've been practicing, we've been ready for, but it is a challenge and it is a concern that the students may know the material, may know what they're asking, but can they answer the questions, put the material in the computer in a method that's going to be acceptable and give the students a correct answer. We also have an issue that we're worried about here. We are such a high-performing school with such high-performing students. The students have scored advanced and accelerated under the old methods. We're hoping those students know that they got to ratchet it up. That an advanced score is going to require a lot more work, a lot harder work on the test for them to continue to have that type of score. We think we have them ready. We'll find out when it comes to that.
You know what? Let me just jump in real quick, Dave. One of the things that we've had lots and lots of discussion about is through some of the other testing, we've had a nice baseline of understanding of the information. We've been able to essentially be able to hone in on our skills to prepare kids for the content that they're going to be exposed to. And with these changes, I think obviously staff is nervous. The high stakes part of this in terms of teacher evaluation is always tied into this type of test now. And our staff is extremely anxious to hopefully do well on this. This really is going to give us a new baseline is how I look at it. And that baseline hopefully will be where we felt we've always been in what we do, and hopefully the content that we've been able to prepare kids is going to match up with what they're being assessed on. So, those are some of the unknowns for us going into this. We've seen, I had a discussion just the other day that one of our teachers was really excited about looking at some of the sample math questions that were going to be available, and yet there were only a handful available. So to get the idea of how this is going to look, this will be a first-time test for us. But it will establish baselines, and I think the important part is that through those baselines, once we as a school and as kids go through this one time, we're going to know where we stand. And then we'll be able to change directions and be flexible enough to make sure we can accommodate our students in their learning, certainly based on how they're being assessed. So, that's some of the nervousness I think everybody has, not just in Columbiana schools, but across the county and across the state, that, there's some unknowns there that we're all kind of wondering where we are with this. And, for this point in time, it's important that kids get an understanding of what, their baseline will be at this point. And then we can go from there. So.
Yeah, and just, we've been getting ready. We've been getting ready all year. Just give you an example kind of what we face. We have an 8th grade math class that also takes algebra in the high school. They come to the high school for algebra. We've been working hard all year getting them ready for this test, and we find out January 10th, not that we just didn't know it, they changed the ruling. Our 8th grade kids that take algebra are not permitted, they're prohibited from taking the 8th grade test because they have to take the math at their highest level with the ruling. So on January 10th, all of a sudden, we're backing off and saying, okay, we get these kids ready all year now. And of course, we like their scores too. To be honest with you, they're our best math students, but they're going to have to be taking the algebra test. So we've constantly have these emails coming down with supposedly clarifications, but really they're changes.
And that's a critical conversation, not only across this county, but our involvement in the Mahoning County superintendents are talking about, how is this going to impact districts across the whole state? We've been pushed and pushed and pushed to put students in position to excel and move upward, but yet our comparisons of our scores from grade level to grade level always included those top performing students that were taking algebra and our math. We double blocked them. And now they're not going to be part of that factor of our 8th grade score. It's that's concerning not just for us, but for everybody that has really sort of followed the method of trying to give kids the best opportunities to reach those calculus courses early in their high school career and give them post-secondary opportunities. We've really done a nice job with that. Now it's sort of penalizing us for doing such a nice job. It's unfortunate, and I just think that has to be something that we need to be aware of moving forward, that when we look at the data, when we get results for this, we have to factor that in. So.
I was just going to add too, because my kids have been taking the practice test this week. There's so many logistical things for these kids, and this test, in my mind, has never been truly aligned. It's not fair either in the fact that it isn't leveled. So I have these, and you can call them what you want. They're all different names. We have to teach the kids it's a narrative, it's a passage, it's a story. They have to understand all these logistical terminologies that we've not seen yet, as opposed to when we had the OAA. For example, today during the practice test, the kids would raise their hands and ask us questions. And it's a good time to ask. We would say, we'll help you now, but we can't help you with that on the test, or we can help you with that on the test. But one of the questions was the dialogue in the story. Well, they didn't know what the word dialogue meant. So we had to go over, show them paragraphs. This has dialogue, this has dialogue, this has dialogue. What does it have to say? Oh, dialogue's a conversation. But you can't tell them that. And so all the logistics, using the highlighter, using the scroll bar, all that overstimulation while they're trying to do the content, you're never going to know whether it was the teacher's instructional strategies, because that's new with the content standards, whether it was the computer-based issue, or whether the kid didn't know the content. It's so many new things. It's like taking 3 medications to get rid of your cold. You feel better, but you took 2 that you didn't need because you don't know which one actually worked. And that's the frustration with this whole thing. It's frustrating. It's frustrating to the kids. And I just think that the pieces they're going to struggle with are the unknown to us. I'm so confident that the instruction is being done. I'm so confident that that content is there. I can walk in any classroom and share a learning target and ask my kids to tell me what they learned today with that learning target. But to put it in this kind of format that's so unknown, that's changing, we can tell our teachers something on Tuesday, we get an email on Thursday that's different. So no wonder they're fearful and panicking, and our kids are too. I mean, I think they'll be fine with the computer piece of it. I just think that it's a lot of new. Just a lot of new at one time. Instead of just giving us the same paper pencil test and letting us know if it's the content piece. Or
Well,
giving us the computer but keeping the same content. But we just don't know.
And we're very fortunate that we've been technology rich. We've been proactive in technology. And I think that that is a critical plus for us moving forward. And we've carefully selected the tests that we're going to take from a computer standpoint this first time through and paper pencil. So,
And they jump right on the technology.
I mean, I feel very comfortable about everything that we've prepared for. We just need to know that I think, and I keep saying the word baseline, but I think baseline is a real firm understanding of what this looks like and where we'll need to grow looking at the data. And we'll look at the data, we'll examine it, we'll try and make the best preparations for the most success that our students can have in this kind of test format. So we feel comfortable, but we're all apprehensive. We're looking forward to it, but at the same time we're anxious about how it's going to look and what the results are going to be.
And just, I would also like to put out that just the fact that we worked so well as a team. OEAs pretty much did everything. Marcy always is helping with all the special ed needs or whatever. But it just was not possible with this. And Marcy's run with the ball with all the special ed needs and the accommodations, and then she's the expert on that. Eventually I guess I would become the expert on everything, but it's just so overwhelming. Jason is right on the tech. Our guidance counselor, Mrs. Waller, Mrs. Rob Carney, and this wasn't something we told them in October to be ready for in February. I mean, the type of thing is, wow, this is a lot of stuff coming down. We need your help here. So we actually, Lance and I went to a meeting in Cleveland last week, and they finally had a flow chart. We've been waiting for it since August of, here I am, here's what I should be giving, here's the people I should have. He said, send us an email, we'll put it on to ODE. Because I've got plenty of them for these meetings, that where was this in August? And we got it on February the 5th instead of in August, so we could have really been prepared.
This is based on the state, right? So the state has obviously not been clear as to the specifics of what they want and what they expect. So what they've done is it sounds as though they just continue to be typical in what they do, is throwing things out there and waiting for it to sink or swim, and then they try to make decisions and clarifications after they come out with these crazy things and laws that they think is best, that they have no clue about.
Well, and for two reasons. One, this is a big undertaking that they're taking on, and there's gaps. There's things that they didn't think of. There's things in their defense. There's things that all of a sudden it gets down to the grassroots level, and hey, I mean, just for the second today, Jeff Jackson, our new math teacher, just needed clarification because in math they're going to have tools they can use up on the computer screen. Can I make a hard copy where they can have that beside them to look at? We found it. Yes, you can. But like I told Jeff today, if he hadn't asked that question, there may be schools that will take it that won't have that there. And it's no fault of theirs. It's no fault of their test coordinator. It just fell through the cracks. And number two, there is a political aspect of the state. They're catching some heat about what they're putting us through. So I think some of the things that's coming from the state are from the political arm too of maybe we ought to back off on this. And maybe this will be able to change this. But like I told Mr. Mook, the way I look at it is we're an all-star baseball team. We are all-stars of what we do. Now we're being asked to play cricket. New rules, new game. So our people they're busting their butt to make the adaptations to what they need to do. So I think it's a good analogy because it's like, same old, we were a machine. Tell us what we're supposed to teach these kids, we'll teach it. And we'll prove that they know. And we're working hard to we're working hard to maintain our high standards. I know the efforts there. So.
Go ahead.
I guess I have a comment, or maybe it's a thought. You know, as you've said, we're an all-star district. We've done very well. What about some of the districts across the state that haven't done so well, and now their students are being placed in this same new test situation? Are we going to see statewide test scores tank?
Yeah.
And ODE's response is likely to be what to that?
Well, as I explained before, there's a political arm, and then there's the arm that's trying to do it right. So I don't know. Well, Mr. Costello brought up a good point that there are schools that are used to tanking quite often. So they're used to every year rebooting and trying to do it different.
Right.
Which, and he's saying there may be some schools that maybe make a big leap because they're used to doing it. We're not. This is kind of a new thing for us. The fact is, it's like when you have your meeting, you throw the data out there. It's pretty much, I use Jeff Jackson, a minute ago. Jeff, looks good here. Anything you need to tweak? Great scores. Good job. Let's look at the data. Here's some of the weakest areas. Let's work a little bit. It hasn't been, let's get a plan started all over again. This isn't working. So this has been new for us because we had to do that. Teaching new areas. But they'll hit me if they knew I said it's exciting. It is kind of exciting, but it's kind of game time. I mean, I don't know how to compare it except for sport. It's game time. We've been prepared. We've got a foe that we're not really sure what we're up against, but we're as ready as we're going to be, and I think we're a lot more ready than a lot of other people. So let's see how it all washes out.
Not that I want to continue to beat a dead horse. I'm not as excited as Dave, and the reason is because our special education population is no longer allowed to have the accommodations that they used to be able to have. So, in other words, accommodations that we've agreed to in an IEP team meeting are now null and void because the state says that's not permissible on the state test. That would be a scribe and a read aloud. The state put a cap on the number of students that we're allowed to have the test read aloud to. So any student that has that service on a daily basis in the classroom, we now have to look and say, can you read, essentially? Not well, but can you read? If you could read a word or two, you have to read the text on your own with no assistance. If you can't read, if you're not a reader, we can read it to you.
Just out of curiosity, have any lawsuits yet been filed by parents?
We have had parents threatening civil lawsuits, saying that they can't really do that. And I know the state support team, which is a step below ODE, has come out and said that they are allowed to do that.
I'm not sure about federal law.
Right.
And I'm not sure if the states, maybe they're a lot smarter lawyers than I am. But I'm not quite sure what their thought process is. Because an IEP, if I recall, is something that there's some federal laws out there that you're more familiar with than I am. And I'm not sure how they can do this.
Yeah, overstep the federal laws, right?
I can't quote it to you, but I'm sure because it's in a different section of the IEP that we are allowed to take it, I don't want to say take it away, but we have to follow what the state tells us to. And this is it. So I just want to put that out there that our special ed kiddos are, I feel like they're working very, very hard, but that puts them at a distinct disadvantage.
Well, they have the stress of knowing they have to do it.
Yeah.
Which makes, we all know how to work under stress.
So I just want to make you aware of that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next I just want a couple comments about transportation. I passed out to you the School Bus Cooperative Purchasing Program. Kind of give you an idea where we've been. We've been at 72 passenger buses, and there's base bids, and then there's obviously additional things that can be added to those bids based on what your needs are, or whether or not it's a handicap bus or whatnot. So you certainly can see what's available to us, and we'll be entertaining those here in the near future. I also passed out to you from that same cooperative purchasing program, full-size van, passenger van. There certainly is a need in our district to obtain a van, certify some of our staff to transport, certainly from a liability standpoint as well. And we're definitely looking at the potential of adding that to our transportation needs. Probably the biggest need we have right now is some substitute drivers. I think a lot of the districts across the county are in the same boat. We have our regular drivers and then 2 part-time folks that are available to us at times on certain days for subbing. So that certainly is another need that we're looking at, and the potential to also maybe combine routes when needed. We're looking at solutions to the times that we might not have a substitute driver available to us. So I'm in hopes that we'll be able to look at a couple other options. Another one of those options is potentially to look at a service like transit that might provide bus and route for those particular types of situations. So we would probably have to enter into a contract with an outside source if we cannot get the needed number of substitute drivers and or be able to effectively combine some routes during those opportunities. So those are some transportation things that are up there that I wanted to make you aware of. I added funding on here just to briefly go over a few things. Lori and I had some good conversation today about Morning Journal's funding items, and so I'm going to let Lori talk to you a little bit about some of the funding things so that you're aware of how that works, or if that works, or when that works, or whether that will work.
Typically, when the first information comes out about a new biennial budget, it's very preliminary and it changes significantly between the first draft and the draft that finally passes. So I never get too excited or too upset about what comes out. Typically what happens is when it comes out, it looks really good for a lot of districts and it looks really bad for a lot of districts. And then you get the politics that come into play where the districts where it's bad for come to their legislators and they push for, some changes, and typically, the districts that are here getting not as much and the districts that are here that are getting a lot end up much closer to the middle. So, that's, from my understanding, I did briefly look at the Morning Journal report, and at this point it makes us look like we're out here and we're going to do pretty well, but my concern is I don't want to count on something that I strongly believe is going to change pretty significantly. So I think we're going to be optimistically more in the middle rather than a far end of one or the other. So, I just caution you to take that into consideration when you're looking at those types of articles, that there's going to be a lot of talk between now and June. Typically the biennial budget won't pass until June 30th. So discussions right now are just that. They're discussions, they're preliminary, they're once the House gets a hold of it, it'll change. The Senate gets a hold of it, it'll change. They'll end up with a conference committee, and at some point they'll come to some compromise and agreement. But right now I would say that it's premature to try to determine what it is that we're going to get for the next couple of years.
Can you briefly talk and let them know about idea, just expand a little bit more. You said over here and over there, cap and guarantee, because those are the words
Yeah.
that need to be understood.
The state funding formula for many years has been very reliant on guarantees, which basically guarantees that a district won't get less than what they got the year before. Sometimes there's some form of that where they say you won't get less than 98% of what you got last year, that type of thing. So typically, over the last several years, our funding is very reliant on what we got last year. It really has nothing to do with how many resident kids we have in the district or what the actual amount per student is. It's very reliant on what we got last year. This last formula, there are many districts that are on a guarantee, which means that if the formula were just put into place for every district in the state, the districts that are currently on a guarantee would actually lose money because the guarantee is keeping them at a level consistent with what they got last year. So they got $1 million last year, they're going to get $1 million this year. The formula may say they're only eligible for $700,000. So they may be, significantly subsidized by the state due to the guarantee. On the flip side, when you're on cap, that means that if you were on a formula, you would actually be getting more than what the cap is. So, for example, our district, when they changed the funding formula, we shifted from being more on a guarantee end a couple of years ago to being on a cap end because they changed the formula where it brings the median income of our residents into play much more than it ever did before. So now we are actually on a cap to where if the formula would work, let's say we were, our guarantee is $1 million, maybe if we were on the formula, we'd be getting $2 million or $1.5 million, something like that. It's been capped at, I believe this year was right around 6%, something like that. And the way I see it in the paper, that it's a very similar thing is what they're doing. That's why they're looking at percentages or saying, okay, these districts that would get more on the formula have to be capped so we can subsidize those that are on the guarantee, because otherwise they're going to lose money. So if you've got, very political districts that are on that guarantee, they're going to be, pounding and saying, hey, you've got to protect us, and our guarantee really isn't enough. Maybe we need to be at 102% of a guarantee rather than 100 or 98%. And the same on the flip side, the ones that are on a cap are going to be fighting to not be on a cap. They want that additional money. So there's going to be some fallout that comes out in the middle where, not everybody's going to be happy, but it's going to be much more towards the middle of the road rather than big gains and big losses.
So what's the best case scenario for us? What do we want to be on in order to achieve the max?
We definitely want to continue to be on a cap, because when you're on a cap, it's capping a percentage increase. So it's saying that the formula is actually would give you more than what you're eligible for, but you're going to be capped at X% increase.
That's it. So it doesn't matter how many students, whatever, we're capped.
Right.
That's correct? So
That's
we could put 100 more
resident
students into our school system? Residents, I mean.
Now, open enrollment students are funded outside of this guarantee and cap. So if we attract open enrollment students, we do see an increase in funding. If we have more resident students, there's no change in funding. We can get 50 new kids that move into a development down the road, and we'll get no additional funding for them if they're residents.
From the state?
From the state.
Although from the county, it would be different, correct? No.
Columbiana.
That's what I'm saying.
From taxes, we would get, if they're new homes,
Right.
we're obviously going to get additional real estate.
Right.
And, potentially income tax on those families that moved in.
Now, technically, we really don't want to be on a cap. We want the formula to work and remove the cap, and then we would benefit greater from it. But if you're looking at where you want to be in terms of guarantee or cap is better because at least you're going to be on the plus end of the funding piece. That makes sense. They're capping us based on the formula. If they didn't cap us based on the formula, we would actually be above that cap. So if the formula was allowed to do what it's supposed to do and we weren't capped, we would benefit much more. But they can't run the guarantees and continue to keep them at that false floor without capping districts that would get more money, because at that point in time, the people who are being capped is being diverted to those who are on a guarantee.
So this takes place at a legislative level of arguing and debating with our legislatures and to make this happen for us, right?
Yes.
And with the governor's office.
So I thought that was important I know when they mentioned dollars and whatnot, that it looks like we're getting some kind of windfall, but in all reality, that's not set in stone at this point, and you sort of need to know how that all works.
So Lori, is this basically what we normally refer to as the foundation money that they're talking about,
Yes.
isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay. That's what I thought. Thank you.
That's it.
Thank you. Nutrition report?
I think I brought the wrong one in with me. Is that the right one? That's December?
Summer.
Yeah, we're always behind. Sorry. As you know, nutrition likes us to do a carving station at least once a year for schools. And this year we done that Christmas one at the high school, which went, excuse me, really went well. I know the kids like it and the teachers like it too whenever they come in. We always try to do some new topics or new items that we got. And right now, in December, we just started with new spices. And we have the spice rack set up where the utensils are for the students. And as well, being that we're not allowed to use salt, you can use these as cooking. There's no sodium in it. So it's very good for the students. And as you can see there's AJ. He uses it for his french fries, his pizzas, soups, you know. And so I thought that was a very good thing to bring in here, because we always have students asking, why aren't we allowed to have the salt? And, you know, sodium. Also, our budget there, our numbers are coming up. Especially for lunch, they're really coming up. A la carte, we're still working on that. We are bringing in new products this month. You'll see that next month in my board report. We tried parfaits, banana breads, zucchini breads, the ones that the kids don't even know it's whole grain, but they're eating it, and they really, really enjoy it. We're just having a rough time bringing our numbers up with the a la cartes, because we have to watch so hard as to what we offer them. And that's my report.
Thank you. Principal's report?
I'll go ahead and start with Joshua Dixon. It's in your board share, and so is my February newsletter, which has additional dates on. Under curriculum and professional development, and speaking of part testing, Jason Braddock came in from Mahoney County ESC, worked with 3rd and 4th grade teachers on the math piece. And you'll remember a month or so ago, Jennifer Walker came in and worked on language arts with the teachers, so they were prepared. The 3rd and 4th grade teachers and intervention specialists are in the process of doing the test administration modules, which are required, and it comes with a sign-off sheet, so they're in the process of doing that. And Paula Ekas, my instructional consultant from Mahoney County ESC, is working this whole week doing practice tests with students. The first round of teacher evaluations and observations began this week. We still continue, Marcy and I, with IATs for at-risk students. Student of the Week pack with the principal continues, sort of a little mini advisory committee and getting petitions and things. So they're learning they have a voice. Students scoring advanced on the third grade fall OAA reading administration will be gifted tested in March. Parent-teacher conferences are this Thursday evening. I have several students performing in Main Street Theater's musical Shrek. And also fourth grade has been working on language arts unit, and they're going to see it as their culminating activity for their language arts unit. Intramurals are finished up this month. In addition to intramurals, Mrs. Moore, last year we had the Cash Coalition Wellness Grant, and we were able to maintain it this year, where she helped the kids after intramurals for 20 minutes make a snack or try something new that they can make when they get off the bus that doesn't involve using the stove or microwave or anything. They use hummus, ranch dressing, they've made their own trail mix, all kinds of things like that. Our Olveus classes continue every Monday. We just completed our 10th annual Jump for Heart. The Dixon families have raised over $31,000 since 2006, in the past 10 years for the American Heart Association. I'd like to thank Danny Clancy and all involved for planning the gala. It was a nice event. Much appreciation to them. The PTO moms that planned Mother Sunday at the Cavelli Center, the Globetrotters were amazing. We had over 100 boys go to that with their moms. It was nice. I'd like to thank the Columbiana cheerleaders. They're in the process right now this week of putting on a mini cheer clinic. And this Saturday evening at halftime of varsity, 36 girls from Dixon and a couple from Southside will be doing a dance with the cheerleaders and a couple of cheers. And then I have some additional dates down at the bottom for you, but it's also in my February newsletter. Thank you.
The Southside Middle School February Good News Report. I'm proud to announce that Southside Middle School has been chosen as a National Blue Ribbon School nominee. Southside Middle School has been chosen by the Ohio Department of Education as a Blue Ribbon School nominee for this year. Southside Middle School is one of 14 school buildings in the state to be honored and nominated to the Department of Education for consideration of this national recognition. Blue Ribbon School title is given to the most successful public and non-public schools in the nation. The award recognizes, number one, schools whose student achievement is at a very high level, or two, schools making significant progress in closing achievement gaps among different groups of students. Blue Ribbon winners will be recognized in the ceremony in Washington, D.C. I'd like to congratulate all the staff and students at Southside Middle School for being one of only 14 schools in a state that has several thousand schools to be nominated for the award. And on behalf of Southside Middle School, I'd like to thank the board, Mr. Book, Mrs. Posey, and the entire Clipper family for all their support they've given to Southside Middle School to make us one of the top 14 buildings in the state of Ohio. Southside Middle School sports, we're finishing up our winter sports schedule this week. Basketball wraps up its regular season tomorrow and begins ITCL tournament play this Saturday. Both girls teams will be playing their games at Southern Local, and I'd like to point out that the Clipper 8th grade girls, who are the #1 seed in the tournament, will also be playing their final home game tomorrow night against rival Crestview in an attempt to finish an undefeated regular season. Girls have not lost a game yet this year and need one more to get a regular season record. Tomorrow night is going to be a blackout game with all in attendance encouraging to wear black. And I'd like to wish good luck to all of our teams. Clipper Honor students, Southside Middle School students once again performed very well in the classroom during the second 9 weeks of the school year, gaining honor roll status for 20 5th graders, 14 6th graders, 15 7th graders, and 11th 8th graders. Gaining the highest honors of distinguished honor roll were 17 5th graders, 36 6th graders, 26 7th graders, and 25 8th graders. And I think it's interesting to note, if you add up the total, we actually have more students on the distinguished, which is all A's or most 1B, than we actually do on the honor roll. So not only are kids on the honor roll, the straight A's and the distinguished are higher than the regular honor roll. Geography B and Spelling Bee. The winner of the Geography Bee this year was Thurston Burt, who was an 8th grader. The winning answer was Yukon. The winner of the Columbiana Spelling Bee was Emily Hitchcock. The winning word was simile, and I did spell simile correctly. She spelled it for me because I had to ask her what her word was. Runner-up was Sarah Connor. Both the girls will be attending the County Bee in Lisbon on March 11th at 6:30, and also Chris Squire will be representing the Clippers as the second runner-up in the bee. Important dates coming up. Tomorrow night's our parent-teacher conferences. February 12th, we're having a student council-sponsored Valentine dance for grades 6, 7, and 8. President's Day weekend's coming up, and in case you don't know, the 17th testing begins. So you haven't heard that one yet. I'd like to read Mr. Hostetler's report for the high school since he is at the Tech Conference in Columbus under Academics and Curriculum. Oh look, new generation testing begins on Tuesday. So there's his report. Thursday, at 6:30 in the high school auditorium, there will be a meeting to discuss new graduation requirements for the class of 18 and beyond. We will also be holding a meeting regarding the new College Credit Plus program, which will replace the current dual enrollment program for students interested in earning college credit while at school. Any student or parent interested in these topics are welcome and encouraged to attend. Under student events, the Rotary 4-Way Speech Contest will take place Tuesday, February 17th at 11:30 in the high school auditorium. Special congratulations to Tricia Nord and the entire speech program, as we have 16 qualified for state this year. Brad Keeler, Zach Pringer in duo, Brianna Davis and Haley Martin in duo, Alan Moreski in original, Crystal Stone in original, Marina Merlo in original, Sarah Hunter in prose and poetry, Noah Dane in prose and poetry, Mandy Moreski in oratorical, Bruce Wiggins in extempore, Michael Vargo in extempore, Cheyenne Carr in humor, Portland Stone in humor, and Aaron Willoughby in expository. 4 of our students have also been selected to show their work at this year's Columbiana County Art Show on March 5th. Congratulations to Emily Daly, Haley Zender, Kayla Thomas, and Abby Rambo. Under Students and Community, congratulations to Aaron Willoughby, who was recently named Young Citizen of the Year by the Columbiana Chamber of Commerce. We'd also like the Chamber for sponsoring this award. Under Athletics and Activities, the All-Winter Sports Senior Night has been set for February 17th. That will be held between the JV and varsity games. Varsity boys are currently 10 and 8, 6 and 6 in the league. Varsity girls are currently 16 and 3, 12 and 1 in the league, and they are scheduled to host the first round OHSAA tournament game on February 25th versus Southern Local at 7 o'clock. Wrestling competed in the EOWL tournament this past weekend at 26 schools. Caleb Rupert gained a 3rd place finish in that large tournament. Under swimming, we have 4 swimmers competing in the upcoming OHSAA tournament, which are Caitlin Garzanich, Cassie Murphy, Hannah Garofalo, and Riley Pancake. And that concludes the high school board report. And Mrs. Sharsha and I would like to excuse ourselves since we have to cover the basketball game.
All right, thank you. I guess that takes us to item number 5, public input.
We had no forms
Nobody
turned
signed in. Okay. Item number 6. Omit. So it takes us to item number 7.
Make a motion to consider approving the January 2015 financial report.
I'll second the motion.
Discussion? Roll call, please.
Clark,
Yes.
Karen?
Yes.
Hudson?
Yes.
Marcone?
Yes.
Whitmer?
Yes.
Item passes. Item number 8.
Make a motion to consider approving employment of the following personnel for the 2014-15 school year as recommended by the superintendent, and compensation in accordance with board approved schedules, and retroactive the first day worked pending verification of all credentials as listed below.
I'll second that motion.
Discussion? Roll call?
Karen?
Yes.
Hudson?
Yes.
Marcone?
Yes.
Whitmer?
Yes.
Clark?
Yes.
Item passes, or motion passes. Item number 9.
I'd like to consider a motion approving the employment of the following personnel to provide services which fall within the guidelines of auxiliary services program to the students of Hardin Christian School for 2014-15 school year. Substitute tutor / math, Dawn Arthur. Substitute tutor, reading, Joni Bush.
I'll second it.
Discussion? Roll call, please.
Hudson?
Yes.
Whitmer?
Yes.
Karen?
Yes.
Clark?
Yes.
Marcone?
Yes. Motion passes. Item number 10.
Move to consider approving employment of the following personnel on a supplemental contract for the 14-15 school year as recommended by the superintendent, and compensation in accordance with board-approved schedules pending verification of all credentials. Junior high boys track coach Zach Curler.
I'll second that.
Discussion? Roll call, please.
Whitmer?
Yes.
Clark?
Yes.
Karen?
Yes.
Hudson?
Yes.
Marcone?
Yes. Motion passes. Item number 11.
I'd like to make a motion to consider approving employment of the following personnel as director, supervisor, or coach of a pupil activity program for the 2014-15 school year, as recommended by the superintendent with compensation in accordance with board-approved schedules, pending verification of all credentials. Assistant JV softball coach David Gucci, and assistant varsity softball coach Michael Ross.
I'll second the motion.
Discussion? Roll call, please.
Clark?
Yes.
Karen?
Yes.
Hudson?
Yes.
Marcone?
Yes.
Whitmer?
Yes.
Motion passes. Item number 12.
Make a motion to consider approving the resignation of Kim Sharshan, cheerleading advisor, effective February 17, 2015, or which date the basketball season has ended.
I'll second that motion.
Discussion? Roll call, please.
Karen?
Yes.
Hudson?
Yes.
Marcone?
Yes.
Whitmer?
Yes.
Clark?
Yes.
Motion passes. Item 13.
I'd like to consider a motion approving change in the contract from probationary to regular for Barbara Miller as recommended by the superintendent effective March 11, 2015.
I'll second that.
Discussion? Roll call?
Hudson?
Yes.
Whitmer?
Yes.
Marcone?
Yes.
Clark?
Yes.
Karen?
Yes.
Motion passes. Item 14.
Move to consider approving the amount and rates for calendar year 2015 for taxes to be collected in 2016 as determined by the County Budget Commission and authorizing the necessary tax levies and certifying them to the county auditor as follows. General Fund, 28.9 mils outside the 10 mil limit. Permanent Improvement Fund, inside millage, 4.60 mils inside the 10 mil limit.
I'll second that.
Discussion? Roll call?
Whitmer?
Yes.
Clark?
Yes.
Karen?
Yes.
Hudson?
Yes.
Marcone?
Yes. Motion passes. Item 15.
I'd like to make a motion to consider approving employment of Jennifer Fry as home instruction tutor for the 2014-15 school year, as recommended by the superintendent, compensation at the approved rate of $25 per hour, retroactive to the first day worked.
Second motion.
Discussion? Roll call?
Clark?
Yes.
Karen?
Yes.
Hudson?
Yes.
Marcone?
Yes.
Whitmer?
Yes.
Motion passes. Item 16. President's report. I don't really give a report tonight. I came in late. So I'll go to item 17.
No report.
Item 18, USBA student chief.
No report.
Item 19, the County Career Board Member Report.
Of course. We did have our organizational meeting. We changed, actually, we have new officers for the upcoming year. The Career Center is looking at some projects that may be coming up this summer, and we're going to talk about those, I believe, next week. End of report.
All right, thank you. Item number 20, dated next board meeting, Tuesday, March 17th, 2015, at 6 p.m., right here in the High School Media Center. Takes us to item number 21. Consider executive session in accordance with ORC 121, sole purpose of consideration of the following matters: employment and matters that require kept confidential by law or rules or state statutes.
I'll second that.
Can I, yes,
Go ahead.
I guess both have a question. March, the third Tuesday would be the 17th, which would be when I have a board meeting at the Career Center.
We had a conflict. I'm going to be out of town on the
Okay.
2nd, and I had emailed out in December and didn't get any dissension as far as moving it to the 3rd. So
Okay, well,
if
I
you
won't
want
be
to
here.
change it,
Yeah,
now
I won't be able to be here either. I'll be out of town also on that day,
on,
the 17th.
we have the 17th is the date of the board meeting that we set, unless you want to move it back to the 10th, which I will not be here if that's the case. That's completely up to you guys.
Yeah.
Why don't we move to the 10th? Instead of
10th.
doing that, yeah, that'd be better.
Okay. I'll get notice out.
Let me just do that over again.
We had a second executive session.
Take a second, or did
Pardon?
did someone second?
Clark did.
All right.
We need a motion.
Want a
Roll
roll?
call.
Yeah, roll call.
Ronco?
Yes.
Clark?
Yes.
Karen?
Yes.
Hudson?
Yes.
Whitmer?
Yes.
Motion passes. We're in executive session.
No.